Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Jennifer Scrapping Kane. Today I'm sharing an 11 by 8.5 layout, playing along with 30 Days of Sketches, Series 18, Christie's Beautiful Life. Today's sketch is by Lisa Marie, and it uses hexagons in the background, which is one of my favorite shapes to use, but I'm actually going to change it up and I'm going to use gears. I decided to use a different collection than what I originally had planned. But I do decide to go with the gears versus the hexagons. So to change it up and do something a little bit different. Plus, I get to play with 49 and Market. And this is Revs. Oh, what is it? Rust and Revs 2.0. So I have a few of the laser cuts. That's where these pieces came from, which are the gears and a little like radio, a title piece that says handsome, and then there's a chain cut out. There's a couple of word pieces. I end up not using any of the word pieces that I actually pulled out, the little tiny ones. All I end up using is handsome and then one of the little squares on the paper for some journaling, kind of, sort of. There's not really journaling on the layout. I did pull out some 6x8 papers along with a scrap since I had a piece of it left and it matches the colors that I want to use on this layout. Basically, I'm going with a lot of the colors that are in the house that is behind the two boys that are sitting on the porch. One is my son, the other one is my nephew, and they were just taking photos for TikTok. They were doing a reel, and I happened to catch it while it was public. Not that I couldn't have got it even if it wasn't public, but it was public. So I did a couple of screenshots and told my son I was going to put it in his album, and he's like, "Fine, but you can't show our face." I was like, "Fine, but it's already public, so what's the difference?" And he's like, "Just don't show my face." And I was like, "Fine." So that's why their faces are blurred out on it. So I showed the 12 by 12 papers that I plan on using two, mostly that orange one. I believe actually, no, actually I use the 6 by 8 orange one instead. I use the gear one, which is this one here. I didn't want to take the large gears off since I had already cut them and placed them where I kind of sort of wanted them. So I didn't want to mess with them too much. In the background of the sketch, she has a smaller, like, rectangle shape. I'm kind of using that as the mixed media that's already on the paper as that shape. And then I put this other piece down at the bottom that is not in the sketch. She has journaling strips or something at the bottom for that. But instead, I just put that torn strip and inked it up, and it kind of brings in the tan that's at the top. So it kind of helps balance the layout, is the reason I brought that in. And now I'm matting the two photos. One is in the darker orange and one is in the lighter orange. And then I cut gears in the darker orange and the lighter orange. I have handsome and guys. Sorry, I was interrupted there. I have handsome and guys is going to be my title. So handsome guys is the title. I'm going to do some white paint splatters. I wanted the paint splatters to be on handsome, but I didn't really want it to be on the rest of the gears. So that's the reason that I'm doing it without attaching anything else to the layout. And a lot of them I do just go around with the paintbrush and add my own bigger splatters since they didn't splat very big, but it works out. I like the way that it looks. I'm just holding it up so you can get a good look at it. And then I'm going to clean this up and I will come back and start working on the layout. So I need to ink up the edge. I hadn't done that yet. So I always like to ink up the edge, especially if I'm using a lot of black on the layout. I always ink up the edge of my layout. Not that anybody else probably notices, but I do. So I like to ink up the edge. The little square at the top, it says, "Boys have swagger, men have style, gentlemen have character." And that's just a quote that I like. I've actually used it on another layout of my son when he was younger, actually. but I just think it's cute. In the sketch, she shows like a little tab or something and a flower over to the right hand side. I put it on the left instead of the right. So it kind of goes in a diagonal. I'm also going to move the title down to the bottom versus the top. So I did kind of move a few things around, but pretty much kept everything where it was. So here I am adding the other gears. I added the laser cut gears plus the ones that I die cut out. So I'm adding both to the sketch or to the layout. Both are from the sketch, kind of like mimicking the hexagons, except for she has all the same size hexagons and I mixed up the gear sizes. But again, the idea came from the sketch. So I was definitely inspired by the sketch. So here I couldn't decide where I was going to put the year just yet, so I decided not to do it just yet and go ahead and start attaching down all of the gears. And I did layer up the gears, so I laid each of the gears, if you can see the center part of the gear, I laid another gear on top of it. And there was no rhyme or reason. I just think it looked kind of cool with layered up gears versus just having gears all over the layout. And then I'm going to come in and put the gold flat back pearls right in the center of the gears also. So you'll see that here in just a minute. And those are by Pink Fresh. And I only have those in gold from Pink Fresh, but most of my other flatbacks are not from Pink Fresh. But anyways, I liked the little jukebox because, like I said, they were making a TikTok, so they were listening to music. Not that either one of these boys would know what a jukebox actually is. My one son's only 13 and his cousin's 15, so yeah, they definitely have no idea what a jukebox actually is. So here I'm putting the year up here, which was 2023. So this was about 2 years ago. I think it was more like the end of 2023. So it was probably just before he turned 12. So it's not that long ago, really. But, anyways, so here I am just going around adding the little flat back gold pearls on top. And I really like the way that looks. It kind of added a little something. There's gold in the letters that say guys because those are the Vicky Booten letters from her Christmas collection. So they have gold in those letters. So I thought adding the little gold to the center of the gears was perfect. So here I'm just holding it up so you get a little closer look. I will have some close-up shots. And I definitely enjoyed using the sketch, Lisa Marie. I kind of wish I would have went with the hexagons too, but I only had time to do one layout, so I did the gears, but I definitely will be referencing back to your sketch and we'll do a hexagon sketch maybe later next month. But thanks for coming by. Like and subscribe. Bye.